Motion by Raddick, second by Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Now you don't have like a plate in your head, do you?
My secret's out. Okay. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Item C, secondary roads.
Again, a little preface before he starts. His budget you usually have to back into. It's a strange budget because you have to levy the minimum or you lose dollar for dollar. And in this case, I talked with the secondary road Mark Mera, and it came up that our estimate from the Department of Revenue came in $100,000 more revenue than we anticipated when we estimated his budget. So right off the bat, we're recommending, and they'll agree here, a $100,000 reduction in his allocation from rural basic service, which will reduce the tax asking by $100,000, offset by additional low cost of sales tax.
I was going to suggest, since you had me until 5 o'clock because of our level C road hearing, do you want to take care of Gary and me be able to get out of here then, or I don't care one way or the other, but I'm here for the duration. So
Any objection, or do we need a motion for that, or? You can, no objection.
No objection.
Bill, you object?
You had to object to getting out of here earlier. I want to hear that one.
Good afternoon, Gary Brown, Woodbury County Emergency Services Director.
There's one item in here that was not included in here inadvertently. There was a request for improvement in wages of approximately $19,000 to upgrade. You did some this current fiscal year. The question is, do you want to do it again this year? It is approximately $19,000, and he can explain that too.
Would that be now or during the equipment request?
We've been doing them now. There's only two. You and Conservation already took care of Conservation, so you'd be up to that. We're excluding the paramedics. That's a whole different issue, so it's just his budget's excluding the paramedics. So there's one exception in there. There's one exception to the paramedics. The paramedic that is budgeted there now, we're going to move that to this emergency paramedic services fund because it should be funded by the rural townships, but this may all change with another plan. So for now, we are talking about the paramedics.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yes.
Do you believe that takes a motion of the board to do that, or do you think that can be done?
I think that can be done when we discuss the paramedics and how we're going to fund it, if we fund it at all. And that'll be done at another date we have set aside, I think, first part of February.
Right, but I just want to make sure that it's not a foregone conclusion that that's being shifted over without board action. Is that?
No, it's not being shifted until...
There's a philosophical...
Yes.
Presupposition, is that right? Okay.
It's still in his budget. We haven't moved anything.
Okay. Thank you.
What we did last year, we put in a request in the improvement request to bring the wages of our full-time staff more in comparison to what the other people that are hired like employees in the region. And we've got some new data now that Sioux City has established their EMS division, and that data pretty much proves that we were right in our thinking. Now, even with Sioux City's, I've got the numbers over there, what Sioux City's paying, but one of the things that we would probably do if the paramedics get funded this year is we would probably want to use these dollars to make the separation between the staff that's not as qualified as the paramedics than the paramedics. We would want to give those paramedics just a little bit more, which is traditional in the industry. The higher the training, the more you're paid. So, and then we've got a couple of employees that we're in some discussions about them going through some additional training, and my recommendation separation, we would hold that back as an incentive. If they completed that training, a portion of that would be an incentive for them to complete the training course within a given period of time. That makes sense, Rocky, based on our conversations. But we were looking at just a standard across the board increase for all the staff, but now seeing what Sioux City's paying, basically they have two different levels on the street. They have the basic EMT and the advanced EMT paramedic. And where we are and where they are, even in benefits, we're still lagging a little bit behind what they're paying experienced staff. We don't have any really new start staff, people that are rookies coming into business that we could compare with on their low end. They've got a low end for rookies that gives us a good cost comparison, and it fits very well with what South is paying, what Sioux Paramedics is paying, what Cherokee, Norfolk. But this way would allow us to prioritize put some dollars towards the staff, paramedic staff to put a bit of spread between them, and then make an incentive for the other staff to come up to higher levels. There's no incentive to come up to higher levels if there isn't a pay increase to go with it, in my opinion, so.
What kind of time frame are you going to give these guarantees to get to their advance?
Well, Melissa and I are working through a discussion right now as to the logistics of that, what we can and can't do as far as what was that? She's doing some research, and we need to get that research from her before we know where we stand for sure.
And that class starts when?
She will start the 18th in January.
What town?
Sioux City. There's one in Sioux City, and we're working on, there's a meeting tomorrow night in Hardy Grove at War Memorial for the potential of another class over there. But if we require those employees to do that, then I'm going to incur the cost of the courses plus there's going to be quite a bit of overtime involved because we'll have to pay them. I think we're going to have to, and that's the research we're waiting for Melissa to get back to us on, we're going to have to pay them mileage and an hourly rate to take the training.
But this was already under job description?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you say Sioux City's using EMTBs?
Well, there is no such thing, I should have misspoke. There is no such thing as an EMTB anymore. There are EMTs, then there's EMT Advanced, which gives them additional 4 sets of skills over the standard EMT, and then there's paramedic. So the state of Iowa reshuffled the whole deck and did away with some certification levels and created one new one. But they're employing advanced EMTs, but they're not necessarily using their skill sets because they're paired up with a paramedic. But that discussion on that advanced EMT class is ongoing. I'm waiting for, after you and I talked, I got a hold of Melissa right away, and she's supposed to be giving me some feedback. But that may be a separate request that we're going to have to talk about. If we're given the green light to go with that, I don't have the money in my budget to pay for those costs. It's not budgeted in.
Well, it's a job requirement, is that not going to be funded by the county?
I think he's looking towards you, Pat.
That's not a question.
Yeah, Melissa's running that to the ground, and she's only had a couple of days, and she had a plate full of other issues too, so. We spent about 45 minutes looking through the language barrier of the different descriptions and stuff the other day, so.
So if that is a requirement, and there is something that's going to be some additional cost that Supervisor Dale, are you saying that we would need to potentially pick up?
As I understand that, if it's a job requirement, I would believe that in every other job I've been in, if it's required by the employer, unless there's some language, for example, needing a bachelor's or whatever degree prior to starting the job, then I can only think it's right that the county pays for the schooling.
And then the counterbalance to that would be some sort of stopgap to say you have 6 months, 1 year, or then you're no longer, when you've been offered this, you would have a certain amount of time. I mean,
I think that we're going to have a certain amount of time. I mean, there has to be a job done.
right.
The trick is to get a class, get in the class, get through the class, and then there's about 160 or 180 hours of clinical and ride time that you have to do, and you have to perform X number of skills during that. And one of the skills that you're required to perform during your clinical, it's very hard to find the patients that you can do that on. It's an assisted breathing without an adjunct device. And it's just, you could go camp out at surgery in St. Luke's and probably for a week and maybe get 2 or 3. I mean, the requirement's too high for that particular skill during the clinical rotation, and they know it, but they haven't backed off of it yet. So you can spend a lot of time just trying to get through that one skill set. We ran into that when I went through EMT class years ago. There was a requirement to be as part of assisted delivery of the baby, and you could spend a lot of time at the hospital waiting for a baby to be born. So I had to got through it.
Mr. Butler.
I think the county has to provide the funds when they're on staff. New people coming on, if they're hired EMTAs, that's their expense before they're hired, because they have to be that to be hired in Woodbury County. But if they're on hand, the county should pay for the staff to be updated to an EMTA.
Well, I anticipate getting with, well, let's start here. What would you think to be a reasonable time for them to get to their advanced? With the aforementioned, waiting for things to...
Probably 12 to 18 months. You got to get through 6 months of class, you got to get through your clinicals, and then you have to have a testing center opening. Your final written test is done through a testing center, and you're at the mercy of when the last time it took 6 months to get a testing center opening.
Well, I think between you and I and Melissa, we can figure out something.
Yes, and I need to put together a budget for it too, because it's something that just came up this week, and it's something I got to figure out what the cost of the class is, where the class is going to be, do we have to pay them mileage, do we have to pay them, do we get into straight time or overtime, and those are the questions I've got into Melissa, so I can't begin to sculpt the budget until I get something back from Melissa, and I think she's pretty understanding of what the parameters are, the information I need, so.
Yeah.
How much was the additional improvement request cost for increased salary?
$19,014.96, so round it up to $19,015.
And that affects how many individuals?
It would be on 5.
In 2 sentences or less, what was the philosophy on doing that? What was the philosophy on doing it?
Well, the original philosophy was to try to get these positions up parity to what other employers are paying in the area, so we aren't hiring new people that are looking to go somewhere all the time, that we get more seasoned veterans that want to stay somewhere. If you pay too low, then what you end up becoming is a training ground for other people's services, because they'll come on your service, get a year or 2 experience, then they head out of town or head to another location for a better paying job. And in this profession, experience is the game. I mean, it's the more experience you have, the better you are at saving lives and taking care of patients. And the less of the liability you become.
Did you have some of those other figures side by side with others? I mean, we trust you, but the trust but verify that we heard last night.
I just got them from Sioux City Fire yesterday. Okay. The new numbers that they just got it all put together. Matter of fact, the title in your spreadsheet's not even correct yet, but I've got them and I can provide them. I didn't realize this improvement request was going to be talked about tonight. I thought that was coming another day, so.
My desire would be to extrapolate that from this simply for the fact that I don't know what I'm basing my decision on other than a recommendation that everybody else is higher or lower. And
quite honestly, if it would be okay with the board, I would table this until I'm able to pull the data together and we get a little picture of where we're going with these other positions. there's a whole bunch of unknowns in there, you know. There's a bunch of unknowns in there, and I didn't realize, I wasn't prepared to, I didn't have the data in front of me tonight, I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but I'm not prepared to push for this, or I would rather bring back some more data to the board on this one.
Well, I agree with following past board precedent on separating out improvement requests.
Yeah. Yeah, I understood that's what we were going to do. The additional paramedics was going to be an improvement request at a later date, but either way you want to do it, it's fine with me. I know this time is short, I didn't put a budget together, but I can put this stuff together in a week. I mean, I can have some stuff put together in a week.
We need a motion to table this for a week.
Just put it on the agenda.
Thank you. Give me a week and I should be able to put some numbers together on that EMT class too. Because that needs to go into these calculations on this budget.
Do you need to be get with Mr. Butler on finding out his part on the agenda, or?
He can go in next week, that's not a problem.
Okay.
It's probably next week, if I run into a stumbling block, I'll push it off an additional week. Is that all right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, you good with that?
No, it is not. No, I think that was the case. I just have one more question. 4201, it's on page 6. Is that 25,686? Is that what you anticipate with hazmat, cemetery, and all the other professional services being expended?
Yes.
Is that what you anticipated last year?
No. We added the software contract to this line item last year. Mid-year, we used our revenue from calls to offset that cost. So this is the hazmat contract and the ESO contract combined. Still using our revenue to offset that ESO contract. And we're able to live within this number even though there was a slight increase in the hazmat contract. We were able to absorb it. We're just buying less disposables to have available for hazmat because we're fairly well stocked up on them. Quite a bit of stock. So that's a little extra room in there above the hazmat contract because we had disposables that we stored for hazmat events, and we're well stocked on them for another year or so.
And those are shelf life on them?
They do, but the way we store them, we have 10 years to the shelf life. We actually bought a vacuum sealing machine, so we actually vacuum seal all of our equipment. Helps keep the dirt off it as well. It extends the life of that stuff about 10 years. Makes a big difference. It's riding around in the back seat of a truck of about every squad car and fire truck in this county. We've got it all over the place. So. I think we're trying to stay pretty close to all the lines. We did move a little bit of money around this year. Took 300 out of cell phones. We added some of that back into what we took out. Cell phones we reduced $300. Buildings we reduced by 1,000, building maintenance on page 7. On page 7, we reduced dues and memberships to 0, which gave us $1,545 in reductions. We went back and put 1,000 of that in electric light because we're running behind on electric light. We added $545 to our regular telephone expenses because we've been able to, over the years, we've been able to make some changes in our telephone contract with Western Iowa Telephone to get on limited long distance. We pay a little bit more, but we pay overall a lot less than paying long distance. So we got unlimited long distance from Piney Hill to wherever. And then we also reduced $95 from legal publications. Since we're not emergency management anymore and we don't have any capital projects that will require bidding, we took that out for this year. We did put an additional $3,900 out of our revenue into our medical lab supplies. That is a line item that we, until we get a couple of years of experience under our belt with this ALS, it's kind of hard to chase. And the drug costs are all over the place. The drug costs are all over the place. Now, the only other thing that we put back in, which that was what we were directed to do last year when the board removed all the equipment. From our budgets, we had $7,125 in our equipment line item, and it was agreed that that would be removed to be able to help offset the cost of the first year agreement with the equestrian center, and we were told that we could put that back in this year. What was that?
Expo.
What was the equestrian center? Okay.
Yeah, the commitment the county made, they were using our equipment dollars to fulfill the commitment they made to the, called the equestrian center?
Expo.
Expo. It was equestrian when it was at Bowville.
It started out as that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same budget as you saw last year.
I need to clarify one thing. The board took out the equipment line item, $6,000 reduced taxation. This did not have anything to do with the equestrian center, that's funded out local option gaming revenues. So I just want to make it clear that taking out the 6,000 items had nothing to do with the equestrian center funding. It was to reduce tax askings. Just to make that clear.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. But I want the board to understand, they took out the 6,000 line, reduced tax askings. They had nothing to do with equestrian center, because that's funded out at that point in time, gaming and local option, but now we shifted all to local option.
Are we looking for a motion to receive?
I believe so, with the tabling. We need to mention it with the tabling of the other.
No, it's not in this budget, so you have to fix it.
I'd entertain a motion.
Move to receive.
Second. Motion by Ray, second by Arnold. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay.
I was just thinking that advanced EMT class, if we require those two employees to go to it now, if we get them into the January 18th class, those expenses will occur in the budget that we're currently in. Some of them will be in this current budget and some will be in, so I'll split those apart as best I can, kind of get some estimate as to what.
Do you know the cost of the schooling right now?
About $2,000 for the class. Per student. Plus there's clinical fees, plus the wages. That's the bigger issue, is the wages. I gotta figure out how I can do that without paying overtime. I think overtime, if I had to pay everybody overtime to go, it's gonna be really expensive, so.
Well, I think we understand that, don't we? All right. We're moving on to C2.
Page 10.
Page 10, yes.
Yep. This is actually funded out of Rural Basic Services Fund.
So animal control budget, total of $7,067. There's no changes to this from last year. I do have to send a shout out to social media and the Sioux Animal Rescue League and Sioux City Animal Control and the Sioux City Humane Society. Social media has made a big difference. When there's a puppy found on the street, it gets a lot of attention, and sometimes it doesn't get incarcerated, and that's helping to maintain where we're not having to spend a whole bunch more money every year. The number of dogs and cats don't change, it's the Good Samaritans. And the other thing my staff and I have done is put together a lost and found program, so if your animal is lost, you call us, and we gather a whole bunch of information about you and your pet, and then if somebody calls in and we get a match, we've got a stray or a lost dog at somebody's house, we never go pick them up. We call you, you're the owner, we say, hey, your dog's over at your neighbor's house, go get it. And doesn't cost the county anything, other than a few minutes of staff time, doesn't cost the system anything, and we have a lot friendlier folks with us, because nobody likes their dog going to jail, so. But it really has, it's working extremely smooth. It doesn't fit well with what we do out there, but it's got to go somewhere.
Well, I guess my question is it worth $7,067 to the board? My question. I get the PO thing.
The option, what we used to do, this has done a lot of places. At one time, we did nothing. And it was up to the sheriff's department to investigate all the strays, and the day and age of the sheriff's department being able to destroy an animal just because it's strayed off of its own property, I think, is probably coming on. Then for a while, the sheriff's department would pick them up, put them in the squad car, and take them to animal control. And then for a while, secondary roads had this job. Secondary roads employees would pick them up and take them to the puppy jail. I'd be happy to give it back to Mark, but it didn't work. It didn't work well. So taking a great big dump truck and driving it all the way to Sioux City with a dog in it. So we've got a trailer set up that we have cages in. We hook it behind our truck. If we get called off on an EMS call, we set the trailer in the driveway alongside the road under a shade tree. Lock the door, it sits there, we go take care of the emergency call. A lot of times the guys will call me and tell me where they left the trailer, and I'll go snag it and finish that job while they're on the emergency call. So, I mean, it's...
I guess my concern here is, I don't want everybody to get bad, you know, I mean, just we're doing something PR type stuff, and I mean, I don't want it to turn into a one-first comp thing.
We've been bad, I've been bad, I think I've had two guys bit. Besides myself, and I mean, the county has, you have to talk to Josh in Iowa code, there's some code requirements to have or nothing, all or nothing, and I mean, we've been bit, and we go to workman's comp and we get wound treated, and first animal I picked up when we started animal control bit, I thought, well, it's a great start. So, really, but now we try to wear heavy leather gloves, welding gloves. We've got catch poles, we've got long extendable catch poles, and so we've gotten a lot better. We still have a lot of confusion by the public wanting us to come get wildlife. We do not do wildlife. That's DNR. We refer all those cases to DNR. So people know.
Just make a Facebook post if it's a deer and somebody went up there.
Oh yeah, ComCenter has a list of people that will come get salvaged deer off the highway. But, you know, I think it'd be interesting if we can get past this EMS issue, cooperation of the city, maybe sit down and have a conversation with the city about what they would charge, because they've got a fully functioning shelter and animal control operation and very well run, and we partner with them, we get along great with them, we share equipment.
Since we're only talking about $7,000, I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. Any other comments or thoughts?
If you get out to Climbing Hill, drive around the back of the building, you'll see the kennel that we built. The staff built it themselves, saved us about $15,000. And it's easy to take care of, it's easy to keep clean. We built it to where the dogs have this chance of chewing it up, so. And it meets the state inspectors, because we're state inspected, it meets the state inspectors' requirements.
I'm going to accept it.
You move
To accept the animal control.
Okay. Outbound moves to accept animal control. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alan. I'm sorry?
To receive it.
To receive it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those in favor say nay. Or opposed say nay. Item 3. Page 12.
This here we just reallocate the fund balance in there. It's a non-tax fund, it's a revolving fund that the board set up years ago. to assist ambulance cities with purchase of their ambulances to be repaid back at interest free.
Move it.
Hold a second. Motion by Taylor, second by Wood. To receive. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
Page 13, the last one is, it's an EMS Systems Development Grant, and I'm not sure those funds are even going to pass through this line item this year because they've been combined with the Systems Development Project with the Siouxland District Health Department, so we're now, our funds and our process is now embedded within their healthcare coalition. So we want to keep $5,000 a month in there, but it'd be cash in, cash out. No tax asking for it.
I would move to receive subject to the receipt of revenue.
Motion by Taylor, second by Brett. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Thanks, Gary.
I just want to publicly thank Pat Gill and Michelle's staff for organizing the town hall meeting last night out at West Iowa Tech, and thank you, the board, for attending, and thanks to Denny for his work on the numbers and continuing to work on the numbers. I know those issues, it's probably driving me more crazy than anybody else, but I think the chairman's a close second right now, so but hopefully going to find some answers, so. Yeah. Well, got it, I got passion for what I do. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks,
Back to secondary roads. As Dennis indicated, every year I have to back into the budget. We take a look at what the valuations are for cities and in the rural area. In the rural area, we're allowed to tax a maximum of $3.03 as general. Basic, we're allowed to tax 16 7/8 of a cent. So I have to take those into account as we look at determining where our levy needs to be. And this year, we were at 1.142 billion in the rural area, which was an increase of, looks like about 80 million. And in the city valuation, went up by about 200 million. So that drives that maximum local effort that we can have. Our maximum local effort went from $3,808,000 to $4,154,000. Now we need to levy and collect at least 75% of that so that we don't lose road use tax fund dollars from the state. That brings us to this year. We need to raise locally a minimum of $3,115,000, just shy of $3,116,000 for the road department so that we meet that. We offset as much of that as we can with local option sales tax, as Dennis had laid out. This year we're looking at $2,065,000 and then $1.1 million in property tax levy to make up that difference. This year, the fiscal year 19, the special project levy goes away. That had been about $1.15 per thousand, and that was for the 14 bridge projects, the grading and the paving project that are part of that levy. That is driving less of the budget under construction this year compared to what we had in prior years. We also don't have RISE projects. So there is a reduction in the amount of construction that we have going on. We always end up having to make an adjustment when Dennis usually does a spring budget amendment. We never know when we let projects after January 1st, whether they'll get completed in the current fiscal year or not. Sometimes we will have a significant portion of that financial obligation roll over the following fiscal year. Secondary road funds, once they're in the secondary road fund, they never leave that fund. So the money is always there, but we do have to adjust our expenditure levels so that we can spend it and complete the prior fiscal year's work along with the new fiscal year. It's an awkward time for a program that runs a 8-month construction season to have to change fiscal years because the June 30, July 1 switchover occurs right in the middle of our construction season. So our overall expenditures are down a little bit. We're down significantly in the real levy because of the special project levy going away. We do still have some of those funds that we'll be expending though in fiscal year 2019. So that's why you see some, I guess we'll get to the 221 levy or 221 fund next, but there is some of our expenditures that are in that separate 221 fund. No new tax revenues coming in, but we will be spending out of it.
So that Westport, no tax revenues coming?
We're not getting any tax revenues into that 221 fund. That's that special project levy. But we do have a balance of money there that will be offsetting projects that will continue to be let in fiscal year 2018, 2019. I guess I can answer any questions the board has.
So the bottom line would be he originally submitted $1.2 million to reach the tax asking. There needs to be a motion to reduce that by $100,000 offset by local option sales tax.
So recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Young. All those in favor of receiving, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. That's the 7-0.
The next one is the 221 budget. Again, there's no new revenue coming into that budget this year. It is only those expenditures which are clearing up the last of that available fund. Hopefully by fiscal year 2020 we will have all those funds expended and all the project work complete. It is possible we could end up with some carryover on that last paving project. Right now we stand with, I believe it's 10 of the 14 bridges that are let or completed. We have 2 of them that are in a January 22nd letting. That gets us up to 12. We have 2 more that will be let here before the end of this fiscal year. These funds have lagged fiscal years by about 6 to 9 months up till now. A lot of the reason for that is we couldn't start expending project money in the first year of that program until they actually had a balance of money, and that took the first 6 months. So to where we actually had some property tax transfers coming into there. We didn't have enough secondary road fund money to cover those projects in addition to the projects that were already programmed under secondary road normal funds. So, again, by fiscal year, for sure by the end of fiscal year 2020, we will have accounted for all of the $6.5 million of this program. Whatever we end up with being short, the projects will still be completed, but we'll pull that out of our regular secondary road fund to complete the cost of those projects. Right now, we're probably spending, it's probably cost us a little more to get those first 10 done than was anticipated. Some of that is just, we've been seeing our construction cost index going up between 3% and 5% per year. That wasn't anticipated at the time of the project, so, of the original levy. But they will get done, and I think we showed folks that when they do give us money, we can make some pretty good progress in the program, so.
Move to receive.
Second. Motion by Allen, second by Randy. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. 5-0, Mr. Order. Number 3, Ward.
We're not proposing any changes in the weed commissioner's budget. There is some increase in his salary based on, he follows our equipment operator salary, so he works an 85-hour bi-weekly pay period, just like the rest of our staff. That would be the only increase in this budget, taking it from $87,898 to $89,835 for next year.
Move it. Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Allen. Any other questions?
If you recall from our discussion when the annual weed commissioner's report was presented to the board back in December, probably next year or the year after that, we're going to be needing to look at a new spray system. It is becoming more and more difficult to repair and keep in operating condition. His reporting requirements are changing too, as far as we're tracking where that herbicide's being applied. The newer systems all utilize a GPS system to show exactly where that spraying is occurring, and it does allow us to assure that the material is going down where it's effective. It allows us to defend ourselves on occasion. This year we had a lot of blame for cross-contamination. There's a new soybean herbicide. They used to use glyphosate or Roundup. You heard Roundup Ready beans. There's a new 2,4-D Ready bean now. And in some of the areas where that was being sprayed for broadleaves and bean fields, there was drift going outside, and Jared had to deal with several complaints where they thought we were responsible for it, and it was actually their neighbor across the road spraying those beans that were ready for that new herbicide. So,
What would you anticipate a new spray system would cost?
Preliminary costs are looking between $30,000 and $35,000 to get down to the minimum that he's looking at. We would go out for quotes at the time in which we do that.
Does anybody sell those like that?
Not that I'm aware of locally, no. But we would do some research to make sure we cast as wide a net as we can to find a supplier that will give us a good price on it. So. We're not proposing to replace the F550 in which the spray system is mounted. That truck still has a good deal of life in it. I think the flatbed is okay, but tanks and the electronics that control the spray head, he uses a 5-position spray head, which allows him to get from shoulder all the way out to almost a 50-foot right-of-way by selecting different spray heads as he goes by. So. Okay. It does allow for one-man operation. We would be looking at that type of system in the future as well.
It's cheaper than a second hand.
Quite a bit. And, Jared has done a really good job since he took over in that weed commissioner program. My department does subsidize the cost of some of the herbicides that he uses, particularly for tree and brush spraying. We work a lot with Jared in the fall with going out and hitting those areas we've clear cut so that when we get that secondary volunteer growth, we get it killed before it gets big. So we're trying to maintain the gains we get with our brush cutting program.
I will move to receive.
Second. Move to receive. Okay.
Was that moved already, Pat? Yes. Oh, that was. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. That's carried.
15 minutes, we have a public hearing for the level C reclassification. I haven't heard anything from any of the area residents. The parties involved were disappointed with some of the press coverage of the road closure that they occurred. My friends at the National Committee thought it was interesting seeing the new Type 3 barricade in use in Woodbury County, but I'm not anticipating a groundswell of...
I was just going to ask if you need to put a turnstile in or something for the crowd.
Hopefully not. Where this would go is we would hear any public comment. Upon the end of that, the board would then direct me to prepare a resolution that will basically give the location of the road, those who are allowed to have access, and the maintenance agreement for putting the gate in place, and maintenance of the road, what we'll do to it in the future. That would be then approved at next week's board meeting.
Well, I will take the blame for this meeting starting sooner than normal because I had forgotten about your notice in the paper, but we will be in recess until 5 o'clock, please.
That bridge down by Lawrence, is that all done now?
Yeah, we have some minor seeding work that will get done in the spring.
That's the question I have, is
Sometimes that little thing that catches when they put it or something, you see this little gray thing.
The new rail system is designed to take the hit on impact. And it's a really neat crash test video that if you ever get a chance to look at on the internet.